All right, let's start up a new video. It's been a long time since we've done a video, but here we go. This is going to be exciting. All right, AMSCO, vocab list number 12, 15 words this week. So when you're keeping track for the remainder of the year to get through all the words we have to, we're going to be having 15 words a week. They are good ones. I think we're going to have some good times, but it's something you want to keep in mind. Here we go. So vocab words. We've got callow, decrepit, longevity, obsolete, posthumous, pristine, venerable, throws, which I like to say, I always roll the R a little bit, contaminate, immaculate, purge, sloven, sordid, squalor, and sully. We're going to talk about all these in just a moment. I want to make sure this is actually working. I'm not convinced it is. Okay, looks like we're still recording. Good. My little face went away, which maybe is for the best. You don't need to see my face. All right, here we go. Callow. Callow is an adjective. You're going to see a lot of these are related to age and condition of something. A lot of related words thematically. Callow is used to describe someone. It's always a person who's young and inexperienced and probably immature in some way, at least in the way that relates to what's being discussed. The example sentence we have here is, no prudent executive would entrust the management of a company to a callow youth just out of college. It'd be irresponsible to trust this person to take care of this big idea. Callow is never a compliment. It's not like, oh, you look so callow, you look so young. It's that you look like you can't do the thing yet. You look not ready for the task. Now, decrepit is an adjective, which is kind of the opposite, although also has a negative connotation. It's to be weakened by old age due to experience, due to time, due to the elements, whatever it is, this thing has been weakened and is falling apart. A person can be decrepit, a car can be, a building can be. As it says here, the example, the decrepit house collapsed under the weight of the heavy snow. Something's decrepit, you look at it, you go, ooh, that is not doing well, that's not holding up. Again, if you told someone they're decrepit, that's a horrible insult. Now, longevity is a noun. It's the labeling of the idea of a long life or a length of time. Now, to have longevity means it's going to last a long time. But you can say something lacks longevity, meaning it's not going to last very long. A trend or a fad, something you see on, well, like TikTok, right? It does not have longevity. Even slang now doesn't have longevity. The new slangs tend to disappear pretty quickly. These new trends tend to disappear pretty quickly. They lack longevity. So this says here, the longevity of a relationship often depends on respect, communication, and compromise. So how long the relationship lasts, the longevity of it, depends on those factors, which is actually pretty sound advice. Now, obsolete. Oh, God, this one hurts me a little bit. Obsolete is an adjective. It means no longer in use or out of date. I'd add on the no longer in use of not commonly in use, right? Because I like some obsolete technology. I have records for a record player. That is an obsolete technology, but it does have many people have an affection for that obsolete technology. Many people are developing affection for many obsolete pieces of tech. I wish we didn't have smartphones anymore. I think they're bad for us. I think a flip phone would be better. So the example sentence here, with digital music streaming, cassette tapes have become obsolete in most households. That most part is pretty important for that idea. But for the word, for the adjective obsolete, yeah, it's out of date, not commonly used. There's better stuff available, although I might not agree it's better. But anyway, all right, here we go, posthumous. Posthumous, that is how it's pronounced. It doesn't look like it is, but I promise that's how it's said. Posthumous is an adjective. It's used to describe a thing that occurred after death. Now, you can have a posthumous thing can happen to the formerly living, right? But usually we are using it in other ways. Of a posthumous award is an award given to someone after they've died. Heath Ledger, when he got the Oscar for The Dark Knight, he was dead already, so it was a posthumous Oscar. As it says here in the example sentence, the author's posthumous novel, published a year after her death, received widespread acclaim from critics and readers alike. One of my favorite writers, his name is Roberto Bolaño, Mexican writer who was brilliant. I'm sorry, not Mexican, Chilean, I believe. Oh God, now I'm mixing him up with Borges. great writer named Roberto Bolaño, who's worth your time. His greatest masterpiece is called 2666. It was published after his death. He wrote it knowing it would be published after his death. He was very ill and intended it to be his masterpiece. And it was. It's a great book. It's a posthumous masterpiece from Roberto Bolaño. All right, pristine. Something is described as pristine. It's an adjective when it's in its original, uncorrupted, perfect state. Now, this does say long ago state. It might be that's from long ago, but it's really the original state, the way it was supposed to be, the way that it was supposed to exist, right? So it says here in the example, the explorer stumbled upon a pristine lake, hidden deep within the forest, its clear waters reflecting the untouched beauty of the surrounding wilderness. Fair enough. The lake presumably would be very old. We don't get a lot of new lakes, but I think it can be pristine even when it's not old. If someone has a collectible pair of Jordans, right? You want them to be pristine, as though they just came out of the factory brand new. It's not that they're necessarily old, it's that they haven't been damaged in any way. They haven't been tainted in some fashion. So that's where that's coming from. Venerable is an adjective. Venerable is a compliment. It's a nice thing to say of someone, is that they are worthy of kind of additional respect because of advanced age or achievement or virtue or historical experience, or also experience and knowledge, I would add to that. It says here in the example, the venerable professor with decades of experience in the field was widely respected for her insightful contributions to scientific research. Often they'll introduce like a judge or something that way, the venerable so-and-so. They've been doing the job a long time. They know how it works. They're an expert. You should appreciate them. Venerable does not necessarily mean old. It means a lot of experience. So I suppose they could have started young. Throws. Throws is a good one. It is a noun, but it's weird. It almost acts like an adjective in a funny way, which I'll get to. Throes are intense, violent pain and struggle. Throes implies movement. If you're in the throes of something, you're thrashing around because of the pain or because of the struggle or because of the incredible effort you're putting out to, escape from ropes tied around you or something, right? Those are throes of agony and stress and anguish. We often use it to talk about something like birth or death or great change. You'll just see described like a caterpillar, a butterfly rather, trying to escape from its chrysalis, right, from a cocoon. It's in its throes. It's thrashing around trying to get out. So you'd say that you observed their throes. He was in his death throes, right? She was in the throes of great change. It is a noun, similar to like, how can I put this? Like a punch or a kick is a noun. I can see a punch, I can see a kick. Punch and kick also are literally verbs, right? I punched this, I kicked this. Throws is not directly used as a part of speech as a verb. It's not. But it kind of implies one in a curious way. Throws is an interesting word. I suppose you could use it in a singular. His final death throw would mean the last movement of struggle, but you pretty much always see it as a plural. Contaminate is a verb. To contaminate is to make it impure by mixing something into it, to pollute it, to defile it, to taint it. If I contaminate something, it says here, many of our rivers have been contaminated by sewage. Sewage came into the formerly pristine river and ruined it. It contaminated it. It's now bad, right? You can contaminate all kinds of things. You can contaminate a conversation by dropping in an insult, right? Anything that's made lesser, anything that is ruined by the introduction of something else that should not be there has been contaminated. That'd be the past tense of it. Now, immaculate is an adjective. It means perfectly clean, pure, with no flaws whatsoever. Cleanliness and purity are maybe the most important aspects of this definition. It is exceptionally flawless and without blemish. Now, curiously, one of the ways we hear this phrase most in life is the Immaculate Conception, right? In Christianity, the conception of Jesus and Mary, right? That's the Immaculate Conception. It's perfectly clean. It was not a sexual act. It's a miracle, right? You also will hear it in terms of things that are not spiritual, in terms of things that are more earthly, right? The hotel room was immaculate. It's absolutely clean with crisp white linens, gleaming surfaces reflecting the morning sunlight. It's immaculate. It could not be more clean. It's not a speck of dust anywhere. It's perfect. It's not the same as pristine exactly. Pristine is like the condition of usually like a single thing that can be tainted. You could use immaculate and pristine kind of interchangeably for something like a hotel room. I don't know that I would use immaculate for like a lake, right? Because the lake isn't clean, it's just as it should be. Whereas immaculate definitely implies a purity and a perfection. Purge. Purge can be a noun or a verb, okay? Is most commonly used as a verb. It's to get rid of something unwanted, right? It can be a thing that's being gotten rid of. If you vomit, you're purging, right? You're getting rid of the unwanted stuff in your stomach. It can be to get rid of an unwanted quality or condition or feeling. I need to purge myself of feeling so sad. I'm going to go get ice cream and sit in the sun. During spring cleaning, she decided to purge her closet of all the clothes she hadn't worn in over a year. I'm glad for this example. You can purge something out, or you can purge something out of something else, right? So I purged my closet of all the clothes I didn't want. I purged my clothes from all the outdated fashions I no longer like, something like that. So it's to get rid of and cleanse in some way. I know the purge movies are very popular. The purge movies is the idea of we're going to get rid of people from society because society is too crowded, and we're going to purge ourselves of excess people, something like that. Now, Slavin's interesting. Slavin's almost never used as a noun. I've actually really rarely heard it used as a noun. It's usually used as an adjective, which is slovenly. So the noun form would be a person who's habitually messy or careless. So she was known among her friends as a Slavin, always leaving her belongings strewn across the bedroom. Usually you'd say she lived in a slovenly fashion. She was a slovenly person. She's always messy and careless and sloppy and not go through. Someone who's slovenly is, well, gross, frankly. So that's more often how you'd hear it. Hearing it as a noun is incredibly rare. The adjective is really what you would get. Now, sordid, oh gosh. Sordid is an adjective. It describes something that is dirty or sleazy or morally repugnant. It's a different kind of gross. Sordid is something like, ugh, that's not a thing we should talk about. That's awful. So our example sentence here, the tabloid newspaper published sordid details of the scandal, revealing the corrupt dealings of the politician. Unfortunately, a lot of our kind of discourse these days is pretty sordid. We put in all the gross details. Even if all they contribute is making us more grossed out, they don't actually bring more understanding of something. So to tell a sordid story is to, not only is the tone and the content kind of gross, the way in which you are telling it is gross, right? It's a sordid affair. It's things that maybe aren't polite to talk about. Now, squalor, oh, we accidentally have the same picture, but it'll work out. I'm sure you can picture something else. So squalor is a noun. Squalor is extraordinary unpleasantness, dirtiness, grossness. It's unsanitary. Now, I'm going to go back for a second. Sordid is describing things as gross that are not physically tangible, right? It's the ideas are sordid. Squalor is a physical thing. It's usually the product of neglect. It's if someone lives in squalor, there's trash everywhere. Things are falling apart. There's maybe bugs, right? Often we describe extreme poverty as living in squalor. That's maybe not the most fair thing in the world, right? Because squalor isn't just about poverty. Squalor is about you have let things fall apart, or that you never had a chance for them to be good. When we think about less developed nations in the world, they may be living in squalor. There's sewage like running down the street, things of that nature. So it's a bad situation. It's an unhealthy thing to be in squalor. Now, sully, also kind of related. We're talking about things that are damaging. Speaking of, you're really going to want to pay attention to these words because they're not the same, but their definitions are related enough that some of it might be pretty tricky. To sully something is a verb. It's to tarnish and damage the purity, integrity, or reputation of something or someone. It's similar to to contaminate. To contaminate is to inject in something that's then all mixed in together, right? To sully something is to make it lesser through any kind of action. But it's almost always about the reputation of someone, to sully someone's reputation, to say terrible things about them, or they can sully their own reputation. His reckless actions threaten to sully the company's reputation that had been carefully built over decades. This guy, I don't know, he's a banker and he steals money, and now no one trusts that bank, even though it was just the one guy who did it, right? Unfortunately, we even see this in school. If there'll be students who are maybe not super great behavior or conducting themselves as they should, and they sully the reputation of the entire school, right? Maybe I sullied my reputation when I promised I would do something, but then I didn't do it, and now no one will trust me. Something like that. Now that is our last word of the week. That's all of them. That's the whole thing. You will want to give this some real study time. You will want to really pay attention to what's going on here, because it is going to be a tougher one. All right. Good luck.